And just like that, the Champions League dream for Red Star is over for the 2021-22 season. Bowing out against Sheriff from Moldova, 1-0 loss in the return leg in Moldova after it finished 1-1 in Belgrade. Starting from the top, I guess the starting lineups, not too many surprises apart from Sunic starting in midfield. So to kind of break this down, Sunic is a player who's played right wing his entire career. Last year against AC Milan, he played as like a right wing back, whatever the case may be, because he does have some defensive characteristics, so to say. And now he gets thrown as a defensive midfielder next to Sonogo, which in my preview I pretty much mentioned everyone you could mention in that position. Didn't think Sunic would play there. He has played briefly there, came on a few times, I think this year and last year, and played defensive midfield, but this was, when the games are out of hand and you're just kind of defending and throwing on players, but that was it. In a match of this magnitude, this was the completely wrong decision. Again, at halftime, Red Star went into half with two other defensive midfielders on yellow cards, second game in a row. The rest of the lineup, I think, was pretty much what we expected. Degenek was back in there at center back. He looked pretty good throughout the match. One thing that I noticed, I said I wouldn't expect Sheriff to defend from the opening minute. They didn't. On goal kicks where Milan Borjan was taking them, they had literally 3 or 4 guys just outside the box ready to pounce. I don't know what's going on with Borjan's kicking abilities, whatever you want to call it. He's been awful the last probably year and a little bit more, so that's why he kind of goes short to defenders. Sheriff scores the goal right before halftime, 46th minute added time, so it was a minute into added time. People are saying it was offside. I don't really care. You have to do a better job of defending. Even if Sheriff does score a goal, you have the firepower to come back and score multiple goals. They didn't do that. Kata getting subbed off in the 64th minute. Again, people are saying maybe it's an injury, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, tired, whatever the case may be. I don't think it's any of those. He was poor today. Ivanic was poor until Kata went off, and then he got a little bit better. Ivanic had 2 really good chances. One was in the box that was kind of right at the keeper's legs, and the other one was, less than half a foot off the right post. Nikolic had a great effort after coming on for Katai, didn't go in. The issue with this Red Star team is there is not any height on the strikers, the center forwards. You have Krstovic, who plays sparingly. Diony doesn't have too much height. Pavkov was out for this match. I mentioned yesterday he was sick, some kind of stomach bug, whatever the case may be. He's a guy that I would have liked to have seen in this match. Obviously, he wasn't available, so he couldn't. The goal was just, again, from a set piece, kind of swung in, and it could have been an own goal. It's really, really difficult to see. And the ball just dropped over Borjan's head. Maybe he could have done better, but if it was off a Red Star player, it would have been really hard to react on that. The back line, the team, when the match is not in their favor, they start to panic in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the match. And that's exactly what happened today. Falco went off at halftime, so did Diony. They didn't show much going forward. Ben came on and gave us a little something, but all the balls were whipped in and there's no height in the box, so whipping in those balls isn't going to do anything. Krstovic couldn't get on any of them. Ivanic couldn't get on any of them. Credit to Sheriff, they deserve to go through. I thought throughout the 2 legs, they were the better team. When you have your first match at home, you have to win. You have to win that match. Red Star didn't do that. They gave him a lifeline in the second match. And 2 free kicks, and Sheriff is through to the Champions League playoff round. And ultimately, that's all they needed. And when I watched Sheriff, this is exactly what kind of Red Star was in that first year where they got to the Europa League after a number of years against Krasnodar. And then the following season, I think it was Young Boys, and then it was Copenhagen, and then it was Salzburg, and then it was all these teams. You take your chances, and then you just defend, which is kind of what Sheriff did in this match. especially after probably the 65th minute onwards. Like I said, I didn't expect him to defend this match, but when you get into those last 15, 20, 25 minutes of the match, you're going to be forced to defend because Red Star has more quality in the players. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. So they're going to overmatch you in that aspect of the game. Now, Sheriff did have a lot of chances in those last 15, 20 minutes, but that's because Red Star was wide open. Everyone pretty much attacked. Again, Rodic and Gajic tried to whip the balls in, but it just wasn't going through. I thought Rodic was the best player tonight, maybe after Ivanic. I thought he did a really good job defending, and he did what he could in terms of crossing the ball. There was 2 that he sent in the second half that no one could get their head on. Again, there's no size in there. Stankovic threw in guys like Gavric, who hasn't played almost at all this season, Nikolic, who hasn't played at all, and Kristicic, who's played, minutes here and there. And that's a tough thing to do when you don't have a lot of matches played and you're thrown in, and it's basically telling you, go get us a goal because we need it right now. Very difficult thing to do. Thought Nikolic was really good when he came on. Gavric got a yellow card within like 15 seconds of coming on. Kristicic, I didn't think was that good. Kristovic, not too. He didn't see too much of the ball, and even when he did, I don't think he did that well. But again, Stankovic with the lineup, Cernic as defensive midfielder. If there were no other options, I would maybe understand, but you have a guy like Njegoš Petrovic on the bench. You have someone like Veljko Nikolic on the bench as well. So I can understand that Nikolic just got back this last weekend, played 45 minutes, so maybe he's not ready for a full match, but you could have thrown him on there. If you went with Njegoš Petrovic in that position, I know that he hasn't played a lot either, and it's maybe a little bit too defensive, and his passing really isn't that great. So I understand that, but Njegoš Petrovic could have given you at least a half of football, and then you could have thrown on a guy like Veljko Nikolic there in that position. So like I said, that's it for the Champions League. Europa League, one more round of Europa League qualifying where they play the winner of Cluj and Young Boys. As I mentioned, Red Star did play Young Boys about 3-4 years back, where they beat Young Boys and they went on to, I believe it was the Champions League. Young Boys are up right now, 3-1 at half. Before I started recording this, that's what the score was. So 4-2 in total aggregate for Young Boys. They scored 3 goals in 19 minutes. Red Star plays the loser, so it would be Cluj from Romania, another really good team. So yeah, that's the case, 4-2 in aggregate. So it looks right now as if it's going to be Young Boys, and I guess it's time to prepare for Cluj. I believe that the matches are next week as well, so it's time to get ready for that match.